Did you know SiriusXM has over 100 extra channels on the SiriusXM app filled with ad-free music made for everything you do? Mashup channels, workout channels, channels for parties, or just chilling out and more. Expertly curated for any mood, occasion, or activity. Extra channels let you discover new music and enjoy even more variety from every decade and music style you love. Plus, you can watch some of your favorite SiriusXM shows with SiriusXM Video. And you can do it all along with listening in your car as part of our music and entertainment plan. Right now, we're offering SiriusXM subscription plans for as low as $6 a month, plus fees and taxes. Call 844-711-8800 to find out more about these amazing offers.
Explore the musical world of an American rock and roll troubadour on his very own channel,
Tom Petty Radio.
All of Tom's music, influences, collaborations.
This is Tom Petty here on the Buried Treasure Show.
Heartbreakers hosted shows.
Check out my show, The Breakdown with Mike Campbell.
And more.
It's Tom Petty Radio. It's all right.
To hear Tom Petty Radio, activate your radio now. Call 844-711-8800 or go to SiriusXM.com/go to sign up quickly.
You deserve the best. With the SiriusXM Platinum VIP plan, you can unlock the ultimate listening experience in up to 2 cars and stream anywhere with 2 app logins. Enjoy our greatest content, opportunities for live VIP experiences, and prioritized customer care. Plus, get access to over 5,000 audio and video concert recordings through nugs.net. Call 844-711-8800 and become a VIP. Offer details apply. Not available in Canada. Mental Health Radio can help you navigate difficulties like anxiety, depression, substance abuse, and more.
We're facing a crisis right now. We want to be here to help you.
Mental Health Radio, your 24/7 resource for advice and support. Just search Mental Health on the SiriusXM app.
Get play-by-play from your teams, your favorite music, commercial-free, and personalities like Howard Stern, no matter where you live. Unlock it all now. Activate your radio by visiting www.siriusxm.com/go to sign up online quickly or call 844-711-8800 now.
We're blowing up online. Hip-Hop Nation connects you to the biggest hits in the game.
That's the difference when you're my people. That's how it is when you're
Just turn up and vibe. Hip-Hop Nation, commercial-free hip-hop hits. Channel 44 and the SiriusXM app. To hear these channels, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visiting SiriusXM.com/go.
There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, that's it.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs, and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. License number 018-14868.
Rondo Deportes, bonjour, Pity Pity Vici. Let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to me and people who love the universe, and that would include you. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? Shut up! You know, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. It is after Memorial Day holiday. I think a lot of people had a lot to celebrate over Memorial Day holiday weekend. I know the Boston Celtics are one that celebrated with a closeout win in a 4-game sweep over the Indiana Pacers. Tonight we have the Dallas Mavericks trying to close out the Minnesota Timberwolves, and that's a big game down in Texas. It had a lot of good things happen over the holiday weekend, but it did have a sad note with the passing of the legendary NBA All-Star player Bill Walton, former Boston Celtics. He played at Helix High School in La Mesa, California, which is a suburb of San Diego. I think they had a 49-game winning streak in high school, helped UCLA win 2 national championships, part of an 88-game win streak, and then went on to the NBA, where he helped the Portland Trail Blazers and the Boston Celtics win an NBA championship. Going to be talking about that too. But I want to say with Big C Sports Podcast, I love doing my show. I do have a special guest on the day, and we'll get caught up in that just a little bit. His name is Mr. Janssen Brooks. He's an insurance broker and a friend of mine. We love talking about sports, and he's from the South. I'm from the West Coast. He thinks they have better barbecue in the South. I think we have better collard greens in the West Coast. That's my straight up with Big C Sports Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast applications all over the universe. You can find us on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon and Fire TV streaming. I want to say with the Big C Sports Podcast, some people say I talk too fast, and some people say I talk too slow, if you can believe that. Too slow. I'm trying to talk faster. I always produce the show. I direct the topics. I broadcast all the shows. I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives. And I tell you, I even do the commercials I've done, the stats I provided. I even do the storytelling. I do the play-by-play. Bill Walton for 3. Yes, get the hole in your life. The great Bill Walton. A lot of people had a lot of great things to say about the great Bill Walton and the passing of the great Bill Walton. Not many people knew about it, and that's part of life. Sometimes you don't let your private moments get out to the public, but thoughts and prayers with his family. And then the show is uploaded to 29 podcast platforms out of New York City. And then, as I mentioned, streaming on 4 TV platforms. I really do appreciate that. I never missed a show with Big C Sports Podcast, and I'm really proud of that. Even yesterday on Memorial Day weekend, I'm one of the only sports shows in the universe that did a show. It was on the great Bill Walton and NBA playoffs. But you just do the best you can and hopefully add a little levity to things that are going on. You know, I want to say I love paying homage to the Veterans Crisis Hotline because they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help, especially on a holiday like Memorial Day when people are celebrating and commemorating and just trying to get out and enjoy the ocean and enjoy the fresh air, the lakes, the waters, whatever it is. I want to say the Veterans Crisis Hotline because they really are experienced helping veterans and their loved ones get help. If you know anybody going through issues, pick up the phone. Call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give us some praise because we all need somebody to lean on. And I really do appreciate the hotlines there to help a lot of people. I want to also say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, reparations now, reparations forever. And then God said, let there be light. Same thing in my opinion. It's always the same thing when you're trying to elucidate a subject. But as I say, I'm one of the only sports shows in the universe that always champions reparations. For every show, I want to make sure I pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force. You know, the Senate passed Reparations 1403, 1331, and 1050 to go forward with reparations, and now it's got to go through the state assembly, and we're expecting to have success with passing of that bill too. But I want to take the time to pay homage to the California Reparations Task Force before I bring on a special guest, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I want to give praise to Attorney Camila Moore. She's the chair. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I'm going to give praise to Dr. M.C. Brown. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. He also appeared on Big C Sports Podcast last month. I want to give praise to California Senator Stephen Bradford. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise, and he's part of the process that helped the bills get passed. And he read aloud at the state Capitol last Tuesday. Really do appreciate him. Love giving him praise. I want to give praise to the council member Monica Montgomery Stepp. She's brilliant. Love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Assembly member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to give praise to Dr. Devon Scott Lewis, professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. And I'm going to give praise to Attorney Donald K. Tamaka. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. Give him all praise, praise, praise. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I'm going to take the time, before I get into my commercial for RDC, to bring on a good friend of mine. His name is Janssen Brooks. She's an insurance broker, also has a podcast, blog talk radio show where he talks about insurance services. But we also have a lot in common when it comes to football and a lot of great things. I'm going to take what's called the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout, and I'll be back in just a moment. All right, I'm back from the Big C Pause, also known as the Big C Timeout. As I mentioned, you can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast applications all over the universe and streaming on 4 TV platforms. I'm going to do this infomercial that I've been working on, and unlike most shows, they do 29 takes. I only do 1 take. So if I make a mistake, you hear my mistake. If I don't make a mistake, then you don't hear my mistake. Either way, I do it live. I do the best I can. Ready, set, go. A guide to protect, preserve, and transfer wealth. RDC Consulting Incorporated. In conjunction with the law office of Scott Thibodeau and attorney George Jones, the missing link, long-term care. Solutions by the book. Over 3 decades of experience helping seniors get their benefits. Medicare and you, taking care of tomorrow. In California, it's called Medi-Cal. And you get that 800-772-8624. 800-772-8624. Not only that, your family and spouse can avoid the spend down for nursing home costs. Find out your options, 800-772-8624. That's 800-772-8624. Our promise to you, specialized to navigate and maximize long-term care benefits, protection of your assets without a spend down. Yeah, that's nice when you don't have to spend down in California. That's important for a lot of people. All paperwork and communication with all government agencies are handled by a staff of entitlement specialists. Ongoing consulting to provide updates as necessary. Benefits covering skilled nursing facilities, prescription medication, medical equipment costs, and more. Protection of your assets, including your home, thereby allowing you to leave a legacy for your family. Are you talking about Aflac? No, Aflac's the duck. They do gap insurance. We do asset protection. The duck can protect its own assets. How's it going to protect yours? We get that with the RDC team. Avoiding the nightmare of debt brought by the government's estate recovery program can be from 10 to 40%. Called probate. And the judges love when you don't protect your assets, if that makes sense to you. A one-time processing fee versus monthly insurance premiums for the rest of your life. I'm not done yet. We have asset protection, as I mentioned, in conjunction with the law office of Scott Thibodeau and the law office of George Jones. Protection, insurance coverage required by law, general liability, workers' compensation, lawyers specializing in living trust, Medicaid or Medi-Cal, planning for long-term care, avoid probate, life insurance, veterans benefits, aid and attendance. That's important when you have aid and attendance in every county. Pre-planning and avoid the look-back period. What about fixed assets? Your bank account, your checking account, savings account, money market account, certificates of deposit, life insurance with cash values, fixed index annuities. Not only that, variable assets, real estate, qualified money, IRAs, 401ks, other investments. Avoid capital gains. The step-up basis, say you buy a house for $100,000, and then a year later it appreciates to $1 million, according to some real estate brokers. That's a $900,000 capital gains. You avoid that with a trust. Over 3 decades of experience. Attention, business owners, find out your other options to protect what your insurance does not cover. Oh, Big C, my insurance covers everything. Well, that's not true. We just need a copy of your declaration page, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624. As I mentioned with the RDC team, I want to say it's important when you have people that endorse your product. And I love saying that with Big C Sports because we have those endorsements. And that's important when you talk to anybody about why should they work with any company. You want to ask who have they already worked with in the past and who's willing to endorse them and who's willing to trust them. That's important. And I love saying that with the RDC team and Big C Sports. And you should always ask anybody when they work with somebody who already endorses what they're doing. Because that's what they say in endorsements. It's worth 1,000 words. Well, the endorsements we have with the RDC team, not only do we have great endorsements, we have George Jones. He's the chairman of the California Black Chamber of Commerce, also a California Black Chamber of Commerce Foundation. Mr. Scott Thibodeau, attorney at law, one of the top lawyers in Northern California. Mr. Leon Woods, resource development consultant, works with many of the top lobbyists in California. Ms. Cheryl Brown, she's the chair of the California Commission on Aging. That's a great endorsement. We have Mr. Ray De La Cruz, the CEO of RDC Consulting, had the endorsement of the late CalPERS chief legal mind, Robert Carlson. And then we have Alex De La Cruz. He's the founder of American Veteran Benefits. We have Charlton Curry, payout committee, and Double O for the National Black Wall Street Project, has her own economics awareness talk show called Let's Eat. You can hear that on Access Sacramento. She's also a consultant with RDC, does Zoom links every Wednesday from 11 to 11:30, 800-772-8624, 800-772-8624 to find out more about that. Also, myself, co-chair of the National Black Wall Street Project and consultant for RDC. That's my story. I'm taking with it. Give him some praise. Well, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to take the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When I come back, I'm going to have a friend, going to have a colleague, and someone who loves sports as much as I do. His name is Janssen Brooks. I'll be back in just a moment. All right, we are back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast applications all over the universe, and streaming on 4 TV platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon and Fire TV. I want to just say today I have a pleasure of talking to a friend of mine that I actually met at McDonald's, and he was sitting down having a cup of coffee, and I walked in there. I guess he didn't like my shoes. And he said, "You look like you were a size 12. And I got some shoes I just bought, but I don't want them. Would you like them?" I said, "Well, sure, I'll take a look at them." Now, I just met this man at McDonald's. He was having a cup of coffee. He said, "Give me a few minutes. I'm going to run home and bring some shoes back to you." I thought maybe I was on candid camera. I wasn't on candid camera. Was I, Mr. Brooks?
No, that was, by the way, that was a Starbucks.
Oh, Starbucks, okay. Well, I got to get Starbucks to endorse Big C Sports podcast. But I want to say, from that moment, that's probably about 4 or 5 years ago, we just stayed in touch over the years. And I really do appreciate Mr. Janssen Brooks. He's an author now, but he's an insurance broker, has his own blog talk radio program that he does when he feels like it. And he did a great job. When I was on a couple of his shows, he had people from NASA, people in financial services. Just had a great time talking to Mr. Janssen Brooks. But you have opened a new, I guess, leaf in life, Mr. Brooks. You also are now an author. Can you talk about your book?
Okay, yeah. Charlton, thanks for having me on your show. It's an honor to be on your show.
Thank you. You're welcome, sir.
But yeah, I had a podcast, and it was called the Council of Elders Call-In Talk Show. And we would often talk about issues in the community. And one of the issues that we talked about was the underperformance of Black youth in schools.
Yes.
And I found out from somebody on that show that Nigerian Americans were the most successful immigrants in the country.
Wow.
And I was surprised and shocked, really, because I didn't know that. And when I started looking into it, I said, well, that's really true. They're really doing well. And I said to myself, I ought to write a book to let people know that, the color of your skin doesn't matter. You can be successful in America.
You could be anything you want to be. Yes, you're right. You're right, Mr. Brooks. Go right ahead, sir.
Right. So the title of the book is Strive to Finish First. What can African Americans learn from Nigerian immigrants? And I point out 7 key factors in the book that anybody can learn, really.
Yes.
Hard work, common sense, goal setting, and at the top of the list, education. Get the best education that you can get.
Yes.
That's my latest project, and from what people are telling me, it's some good content.
Good content, of course, coming from you, it has to be good content. You and I have had so many conversations over the years, Mr. Brooks, about business, about life, about insurance, politics, reparations, food, football especially, and basketball. And ironically, the way the universe lines things up, Boston Celtics eliminated Indiana yesterday, and the late Bill Walton passed away yesterday, a former great Boston Celtics. And before I even ask you about that, I want to ask you, where can people go again to get a copy of your book And I'm going to talk about what you just said about being successful, because a lot of athletes are emblematic of hard work and being successful. Where can someone find your book if they want to order a copy of that today?
They can find it on Amazon, Amazon.com. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. But I tell people to go to Amazon because I'm so familiar with it, I guess. And they can order it. It's called Strive to Finish First. And then the subtitle is What Can African Americans Learn from Nigerian Immigrants? And my name is Janssen Brooks. That's JANSSENBROOKS. And you can type my name in as well. You can also get it. But yeah, you can get it on Amazon. You can probably have it in about a week.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful, Mr. Brooks. And so go out and buy his book. Google his name. Look him up. He's a wonderful, wonderful gentleman. Also from the South. And as we talk about people can be what they want to be, business, sports, politics, religion, whatever it happens to be. We talked about NBA basketball. The passing of Bill Walton yesterday happened to be the same day that the Boston Celtics closed out a sweep of the Indiana Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals in Game 4. And ironically, when I was talking about Bill Walton yesterday, Memorial Day weekend, I didn't know he had passed away until I was getting ready to watch the game. And can you tell me how you heard about it, Mr. Brooks?
Well, I heard about it from you, man.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know I had really been close to it, but I'm sure that Boston Celtics are going to have an extra incentive to go out and kick some butt in honor of the Bill.
I'm sure they will have that, and it's just ironically. I mean, life is funny. Now I'm going to mention something, and I want to get your thoughts. If Boston wins another championship, that'll be number 18. I believe they're tied with the LA Lakers. They both have 17 NBA championships. They're tied for the most NBA championships in basketball. And obviously they're waiting for the winner of tonight with the Dallas Mavericks, with, the great Luka Doncic, the great Kyrie Irving. They're coached by Jason Kidd, who played at St. Joseph Notre Dame Alameda High School in the Bay Area. And he also coached New Jersey when they lost in the finals, I believe, to back in the day. I'm gonna say they lost to the Lakers. But let me ask your thoughts. Kyrie Irving, I mean, all respect to Minnesota. Maybe they'll come back and win this whole series. Who knows? I doubt it, though. If Kyrie Irving goes back to Boston with Luka Doncic, is that, in your opinion, must-see TV, being that he used to play for the Celtics for about 4 years, Mr. Brooks?
Well, anytime Kyrie Irving played, for me, Charles is must-see TV. I love the guy,
Yeah.
But but to answer your question, that is going to be must-see TV. Kyrie Irving, back where he, played at.
Yes.
Fans and the atmosphere and everything. It'll be must-see TV.
Yeah. Well, the thing, this is Charles Curry of Big C Sports talking to the great Janssen Brooks. He's an author of a book. And also, we have our own thing. He might laugh. He said he offered me some shoes at Starbucks. I thought it was McDonald's because McDonald's sponsors my show. So in my mind, it was McDonald's. But I do want to. But I do want to say, Mr. Brooks. Now, when you look at Kyrie Irving, he's won a championship. Luka Doncic has not. He won his championship with LeBron James. And when he was with LeBron James, who has 4 NBA championships, he was always considered maybe the Robin compared to LeBron James being the Batman. And rightfully so. LeBron's won in Cleveland. He won in Miami twice and won with the Lakers once. Kyrie's only won when he was with LeBron James. Not that we know, it's just your own opinion. How much Kyrie feel to try to win a championship without LeBron James? Because he was always considered kind of the sidekick, whether you like that or not. What would that mean to him to get it without being the quote-unquote sidekick to LeBron? Your thoughts?
Well, every athlete wants to go out and do on his own. He wants to be known for his own thing.
Yes.
And I think Kyrie Irving has the heart of a champion anyway.
Yes.
So whether he was with LeBron or not, he would want to win a championship. But it's kind of like Kobe and Shaq, you know,
yeah.
when they were together, you know.
That's right.
Kobe wanted to win one, you know, without Shaq. And it's just human nature, you know. It would happen to anybody.
Yes, human nature. Talking to the great Janssen Brooks, insurance broker, also has his own blog talk program that he does on a nationwide level when he feels like doing that. And he has so much of a passion for sports. Now, I'm going to bring up something too. Boston Celtics, you know, a couple years ago, Mr. Brooks, they were in versus the Golden State Warriors. I forecasted Golden State to win that in 6 games. They won it in 6 games. Boston was the favorite. They're in now. Let's just say they're going to play Dallas. If Minnesota comes back, that would be a miraculous comeback. If they play Dallas, if they lose that series to Dallas, and that's not inconceivable that they could, we're being presumptive now, would that be a letdown for the Celtics? But they've been there now 2 times in the last 3 years. If they lose, would that be a letdown? Your thoughts?
It would be a letdown. It would be a letdown. When you get right to the finals and then lose, it's always a letdown, you know. I remember who did Jim Kelly play? Who Jim Kelly played for?
Buffalo Bills. Yep.
They always, you know, with the letdown. They never did win a championship, right?
No, never did. They lost to Dallas, they lost to Washington, and they lost to the Giants. And obviously, people only like to celebrate the champion. Talking to Big C Sports Podcast, the great Janssen Brooks. We know that if you're a champion, people love you. If you come in second place, that's still not a bad paycheck, Mr. Brooks. Your thoughts?
Well, you know what? The way I see it, all of them are multimillionaires. You know,
yeah.
Crying to the bank, you know.
They got to cry to the bank, and that's for all fair level war. Now, I want to.
I seriously, they laughing all the way to the bank.
Yeah, they always laugh to the bank. I have seen some guy crying that they lost a championship. Like, how are you crying? You make $30 million a year. Yeah, but I want to make $32 million. It's all fair level war. So I got to tell you, in my thinking, we talk about name, image, and likeness, NIL. It's out there. I think the NCAA has a $3.7 billion settlement they're paying out for players that sued because they were not getting paid for their name, image, and likeness. So the NCAA settled earlier last week, $3.7 million. But I got to ask you this thing. You come from the South, and you're big on Alabama football. You and I both know that integration of college sports was possible because of the late Paul Bear Bryant when John McKay took the USC Trojans back to Alabama and they beat them in a football game. And I think Sam Bam Cunningham had a great game. And Paul Bear Bryant said, I got to get me some of them. Not only did football take off in the SEC, but more and more, whether you want to admit it or not, and I don't expect you to destroy any relationships, Mr. Brooks, they hand out a lot of paperbacks in the South, if that makes sense to you.
Damn, like what now?
A lot of paperbacks to get kids to come to a certain school. Rumor has it. Your thoughts?
Oh yeah. So you mean just paying the players to come to school?
Allegedly.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's fairly documented. You know, if you really do any research on it.
Yeah. I think now. But, go right ahead, sir. Go right ahead, please.
But I think it's a good thing though because those players. It's a job, you know, it's like a part-time job. Other kids work in the library, you know, and they work, you know, in the lunchroom and stuff, and they get paid, you know, help with their tuition.
Yes.
But these players, you know, in many cases, they've had to shoplift in order to eat, you know.
I tell you, when a school is paying college coaches between $1 million and $10 million a year, and they tell the student athlete, well, you're getting a free education and a stipend when you get 3 meals a day, but you can't even take your girlfriend out for a lunch unless it's at McDonald's where they might get some free shoes offered to them. Right? If I were an athlete, that would have been an NCAA violation, Mr. Brooks. Your thoughts?
Right. Well, yeah, that's true. How do you think that's going to change college sports?
Well,
with the players getting paid?
That's a good question, and I think it's going to change for the better because in order to pay somebody, you got to have the money to pay. They've been paying coaches for years. They've been paying, most of them Caucasian. They've been paying assistant coaches for years. Most of them Caucasians. They've been paying school presidents for years. Most of them are Caucasian. It's almost like sharecropping. The only people who were not getting paid were the black athletes playing. And I say that because of the way the country developed through slavery and Jim Crow laws. White society had a head start, even with the Homestead Act building up finances, and with compound interest. As an insurance person, the eighth wonder of the world, the average white kid, they have 10 times the wealth of the average black kid. And that's according to the Kerner Commission and many other reports. So even if a white athlete is playing sports, most of them, not all, but most pejoratively, they come from a background where when they graduate, they can walk right into the workforce and get an interview with someone who looks exactly like them or their father or mother. A lot of black kids can't say that. So in order to give them some type of compensation for their talent, they should get paid. And I think that's why the NCAA settled, because had the lawsuit gone forward, they would have lost more than $3.7 billion. That's my opinion. Your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's good to see progress being made in that arena, man. It was black and white players all together. So it's good to see that they're compensating them for playing football. And hopefully the young men will have some type of financial advisor or somebody to help them spend their money, because they might be able to help generate generational wealth with that money. Who knows?
That's very well said. In fact, you as an insurance broker, you know a lot about the generational wealth. I wanna keep you for a few more minutes. I always appreciate talking to you on and off the air. Mr. Brooks, licensed insurance broker, also has his own blog talk show when he does it when he feels like it, and he's the author of a new book. And shout out your book again, Mr. Brooks, and where people can get it. Please go right ahead, sir.
Okay, the title of the book is Strive to Finish First. What can African Americans learn from Nigerian immigrants? And I give you a little bit of preview on it. It's the mindset of striving to finish first, and not just striving to be average, striving to be at the top of your class, striving to be at the top of your team or your workplace, rather than being mediocre. So Strive to Finish First can be found on Amazon. Strive to Finish First, what can African Americans learn from Nigerian immigrants? And my name is Janssen Brooks, and I'll spell my first name for you. It's Janssen. My last name is Brooks, Brooks. You can put my name in there, you can get it. And I think it's some good information. I think it's information that should be have a ripple effect out there, hopefully.
Yes.
And we can influence some people to be more, do more, and help more.
That's very well said. And speaking of striving to finish first, I was just talking about the passing of Bill Walton, NBA Hall of Famer, two-time NBA champion, 2 championships at UCLA, won a couple of championships at Helix High School in La Mesa, California, which Reggie Bush went to that high school, former USC football player, NFL player, and Alex Smith, former University of Utah quarterback, and also played for the Kansas City Chiefs and the Washington Commanders. Can you, going back to the South, Mr. Brooks, where people say the SEC is a football crazy conference, basketball too, but not as much as football, 100,000 people at more than half of the stadiums, whether it's Alabama or Tennessee or just say, Florida, they have between 80,000 to 100,000, I believe. But a lot of the stadiums in the South, it seems to be at least 90,000 or more, give or take. What is it about football in the South that has made so many people feel that they need to go and tailgate the night before a game? Your thoughts?
Well, it's tailgating is a real big thing in Alabama. It's I think for a lot of people, it's like a family reunion.
Yes.
It's like seeing people that you haven't seen before, and then meeting new people. But it is huge. Even in my little hometown, the high school, the homecoming game, it's like a major event,
Yes, it can be. I tell you. Now, when we look at college football, the SEC, it keeps expanding. They're going to bring in Texas. They're going to bring in Oklahoma starting this 2024 season. However, the game that helped integrate football in the South is when USC played Alabama back in the days when Sam Bam Cunningham played, Coach John McKay was the coach for USC, the late Paul Bear Bryant, the coach for Alabama. And now the SEC is growing. The Pac-8 at that time, then Pac-10 and Pac-12, they've disbanded Arizona State, as well as Utah and Colorado. They're joining the Big 12. USC, UCLA, Washington, and Oregon are joining the Big 10. From a Southern perspective, does that bother you that the conference went after money as opposed to making it easier for their fans to drive to a football or basketball or baseball game? Your thoughts?
Well, it doesn't surprise me because money is the lifeblood of any business, and if they can get it, they will get it. So, I mean, it's kind of sad, but, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. And unfortunately, when you say it is what it is, that's what I hear is a Southern vernacular. Does that make sense? It is what it is. Your thoughts?
Well, I tell you what, I got a little Southern drawl, Hey.
Now, I do have a bone to pick with you, little braggadocious. I'm from the West Coast. You from the South. I've never met anybody that could cook collard greens like a West Coast woman or man. But you beg to differ. You think collard greens are prepared better in the South? Would you go live on radio saying that, Mr. Brooks?
Yeah, it's some good cooks. There's some good cooks all over the country.
Yeah.
North, south, east, and west. Because I think a lot of those original recipes, came from the South.
Yes.
I think, but they've gotten a lot more healthier nowadays because my grandmother knows they used something called lard and Crisco.
Yes.
To cook with.
Okay.
But I've had some good collard greens on the West Coast, and I've had some good collard greens in the South. So
yes.
But something I was just thinking about. I was just down there a couple of months ago.
Yes.
And it seemed like the food in the South tastes better. I mean, I had a bag of Lay's potato chips down there.
You tell me they got their own recipe?
It seems like the Lay's potato chips were better there than it is here. So almost any food that I eat, they say food tastes better in the South. I think it might be something to that.
Well, I don't doubt it. My family's actually from the South of Arkansas and then Oklahoma, but I can say collard greens is like sunshine. It all tastes pretty good as long as you don't put too much salt in it. I do want to ask you just a few more things before we run. And, there's this talk about reparations. It passed the Senate in California. Slavery happened primarily in the southern part of the country. And more people are looking at having the chance to get something benefit from land that was stolen or free labor that was never bequeathed. As an insurance broker, when someone buys an insurance policy, it's supposed to go to their beneficiaries when they pass away. Well, because slaves couldn't have insurance, so it went to the people that owned them. And then when reparations was passed by the Emancipation Proclamation, President Abraham Lincoln, the slave owners, they got the reparations for losing that free labor. And I know for families that have a long legacy to the South, could you imagine how people who have a hope that California can lead the nation and having some type of recourse, some type of repair, whether it's financial, whether it's free education, free tax bracket, maybe free housing voucher, free grant, whatever it is, can you see from the South how so many people would have benefited had they always benefited from being able to bequeath, get life insurance policies or land passed on to them that they were never even allowed to own back in the days of slavery? Your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts on that, Charlton, I look at it from both sides, quite honestly. Yes, you're right. The blacks have been really mistreated, and, they deserve more. But at the same time, I don't want people to get so complacent that they say, well, because that happened, years ago, and I was mistreated, that I'm going to not strive right now to be the best I can be.
Exactly.
I'm not waiting on a reparations, but in the meantime, I'm going to do the best I can to be the best I can. But, it is a nice gesture for them to talk about that, but I just don't want people to use that as an excuse not to be successful in life.
Exactly. Spoken like a real successful person. I think so many people are trying to find their happy spot in life. You want to find out who's your tribe, who's your soul tribe, your spiritual tribe, who can you grow with, and whether that's personal or business. And I really do appreciate conversation with you, Mr. Brooks. Before I run, I want to just, number one, thank you for being on the program. You've had me on your program many times. I do appreciate you very much for coming on mine. And before we close, I want you to talk about anything on your mind about what people can do to find you. I know you could mention your book. You can mention when you're going to start doing your blog talk again, whatever's on your heart that you want to say, and to wishing people the best in order to have success in their lives. I'll give you the mic, sir, please.
Well, if you'd like to get in touch with me, I'm going to try something new. I'm going to ask people to text me. I'm going to put my cell number right now. I want you to text me. My number is 916-667-4974. Again, 916-667-4974. And my name is Janssen Brooks. And just text me and say, whatever, you might want to start a chat or call each other or meet. But yeah, I just want to say that the times are really interesting right now.
Yes.
Everybody should just stay focused on, improving your life and improving the lives of your loved ones. So that's about all I had to say, Charlton. Just go for it. You're never too old, never too young to be the best that you can be.
Wonderful. Very well said. I'd be remiss if I missed this. We talked about Bill Walton. You actually said you met Bill Walton in a bank in California. If you don't mind, just share that story briefly, Mr. Brooks.
Yeah. I met Bill Walton at the bank. I think Bank of America on Florin Road in Sacramento, California. This was during the time that he was with the Sacramento Kings. He did a little stint as a broadcaster with the Sacramento Kings, and he was up at the bank, sitting down in a chair as people entered the bank. And of course, I recognized the great Bill Walton.
Yeah.
So I walked over to him and I said hi, and he said hi. And I said, you know what, you've really come a long way since you first started broadcasting. And I said, how did you do that? And he said, practice. I never really forget that. He was nice, shook my hand. He was a nice guy. I didn't want to take up too much of his time, but
yes,
he was very gracious when I met him. And when I asked him because he used to stutter, when he first started.
Yes.
And then as he progressed, he was one of the best. And so he said, I asked him how he did it. He said, practice.
Practice. Well, I tell you, Mr. Brooks, it's always a pleasure talking to you. And as I close again, I want you to just say one more time the name of your book, where people can go to buy your book. The mic is yours.
Okay, well, the title of the book is Strive to Finish First. That's the title, and the subtitle is What Can African Americans Learn from Nigerian Immigrants? Now, you can find this book on Amazon. That's probably where everybody knows about it, but you can also find it on Barnes & Nobles and a whole bunch of different platforms. For example, on Amazon, just go to Amazon and then put in Strive to Finish First. And then the subtitle is What Can African Americans Learn from Nigerian Immigrants? And if you also put in my name, Janssen Brooks, that's JANSSEN BROOKS, it'll also come up. It's a green and white book, easy to recognize. The green and white is kind of flag for Nigeria. So, but yeah, I think it's a good read.
Yes.
It's not a whole lot of big words. It's very simple. And I think that any parent could find some nuggets in there to inspire their kids and even inspire themselves.
Well, that's very well said. Strive to Finish First by the great Janssen Brooks, insurance broker, has his own blog talk radio show. Good friend of mine. Mr. Brooks, always a pleasure. I wish you nothing but the best. And next time I go Next time I go to a Starbucks or McDonald's, I'm going to wear my worst pair of dress shoes. Hopefully I'll see you there again. That makes sense to you?
All right. Well, thanks for having me on your show, Charlton. It's an honor for me to be on. Thanks so much.
I appreciate you. Have a super fantastic day. This is Big C Sports Podcast. Talking to the great Janssen Brooks. I'll take the Big C pause. I'll be back in just a moment. Mr. Brooks, thank you. Have a super fantastic day.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
All right, I'm back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast applications all over the universe. And streaming on 4 TV applications, Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Talking to the great Janssen Brooks, good friend of mine, a book called Strive to Finish First. And we all want to strive to finish first. I want to strive to finish first. And I know that everybody that's trying to do anything in life, you want to strive to finish first. And just do your best. Put your best foot forward, and you'll find your tribe. And nobody's perfect in life. Just always rise and shine and do the best you can. Thank you, Mr. Brooks, for being on the Big C Sports Podcast today. I want to bring up something that I was talking to Mr. Brooks about, and that is, it's called NIL, name, image, and likeness. And if you understand, that was also crafted by California Senator Stephen Bradford for name, image, and likeness. And when you think about that, the NCAA, if they settled a $2.7 billion lawsuit, because it's amazing when you think about it, it's an antitrust settlement. It just happened May 23rd, 2024. And the NCAA got the votes it needed for a $2.7 billion with the B dollar settlement. But many steps still remain, just like in reparations, many steps still remain. But the NCAA Board of Governors and the Power Conferences have approved a historic $2.7 billion. That's a lot of money. And the settlement agreement with attorneys representing the college athletes, and it's called House versus NCAA and Carter versus NCAA, as well as Hubbard versus NCAA, according to the Associated Press. And the parties had self-imposed a deadline of May 23rd, which they have now met. If approved by a federal court, if it overcomes a potential legal challenge, and it probably will, the settlement will pay athletes for earnings they could have made for the commercial use of their name, image, and likeness. Video games and broadcast had NCAA rules permitted such payments. The deal also calls for a restructuring of college sports so that conferences can elect to share revenue with players. Isn't that a lot like reparations? That free labor that was paid out, and now the courts are saying the NCAA is going to settle for the name, image, and likeness, the free labor they were getting. How does that compare to reparations? I want you to draw your own conclusion. You can't say that it's any different than what's going on right now with the reparations. I'm going to have you listen to attorney Ariva Martin.
It's not that cash payments by themselves are enough. It's that cash payments is one way to recognize the harm that was done. And it's very interesting when you look at the Jesuit universities, 27 of them, and the work that they've done in this area. They've gone through this very, very exhaustive process to investigate their relationship to slavery. I mean, so much so that they hired genealogists to trace and to find the actual descendants of enslaved people. So, I mean, you have to think about how expansive and, intense and comprehensive this research was. But then you have to also ask yourself, how come these institutions with all of their resources never, ever utilized an economist, a statistician, a labor, expert to tell us the value of the wages and the wealth that they accumulated? It just looks like this big gaping hole. So I think the question should be reframed. How come the universities aren't sharing with the families the value of the labor and the value of the wealth that they've accumulated? So people are always asking descendants or survivors, why do you want money? And I think the question should be the opposite. How come you're not coming to us with money? When you think about the 9/11 victims or any victims of a disaster in this country, there's never ever a question about should we compensate them. That is a part of our civil, legal, judicial system. You have a harm, somebody else causes it, you are entitled to compensation. It's never ever challenged, except in those examples where Black folks are involved. So I think we have to change the narrative around this question. And rather than, and not suggesting you're doing this, but oftentimes families or individuals who are seeking compensation are put on the defensive as if they've done something wrong. No fault of our own. We did nothing wrong. And if you worked for me, I'm an entrepreneur, business owner. If you worked for me and I never paid you, you would have recourse. You would be able to go to a labor board. You'd be able to go into our courts and demand your labor be compensated. You'd be able to get penalties against me for not compensating you. You'd be able to get interest on those wages that I didn't pay you. So again, this isn't like new to capitalism. This is how our country is built. This is how we operate today. You work, I pay. Let's be clear. So our request in terms of compensation restitution is not the total amount that was calculated. We calculated that amount because we felt like it needed to be a part of the conversation. It's on the table. We're not asking them for $74 billion. We're asking them to consider the value of that slave labor in the same way they are considering other aspects of their relationship with enslaved people. What we hope to get out of it is, first, that descendants are literally put back on this committee, that this is no longer a university exclusive committee, that the descendants are there at the table, that they commit to a timeline. Loyola University of Maryland went through this process and wrapped their work up in 2 years. So you can Google them and see what they've done in 2 years. We're into year 5, and we've not even sat down and talked about a plan. So we also hope that there's a commitment to wrap this work up in some foreseeable future, 6 months, 12 months, that it not just go on indefinitely. And then we are asking that the plan that is developed includes not only some of the things that we see in this work, monuments, things that give attribution to those who helped build this university, curriculum changes, projects that help the community. One thing we realized, so many people in St. Louis is a small city, 300,000 people. I live in Los Angeles now. They're like, 12 million people where I live. So few people had even heard of this work. So another part of what we're hoping that comes out of this is some resources spent educating people about this work, because people in that very community don't know. And then, of course, some kind of financial restitution for the labor, for the wages that have been uncompensated for this period of time.
In your life, in the hole. I love attorney Areva Martin. She's a civil rights attorney, and she talks about reparations in the way that it should be talked about. So in my mind, if the NCAA can say that they are going to start paying, in fact, they settled a $3.7 billion lawsuit because they were getting a lot of free labor from a lot of student athletes, black and white. And so they settled. $3.7 billion is a lot of money. I'm begging your pardon, $2.7 billion. That's $2.7 billion. They were trying to get $3.7 billion, but they set up for $2.7 billion. And it's a process and just trying to do the right thing. And I know when people want to do the right thing, it's easier when more and more people are talking about it. So that's my story, and I stick it with it. I want to thank the great Janssen Brooks for being on the Big C Sports podcast today. Really do appreciate him. I know tonight we have, what did the great Rod Stewart sing? Tonight's the night. It's going to be all right. We want the real Rod Stewart. You can't get the real Rod Stewart. You get the Big C Stewart, if that makes sense to you. Had a Memorial Day weekend, and thoughts and prayers with everyone that gave the ultimate sacrifice for this country. Got some NBA basketball tonight. Minnesota Timberwolves taking on the Dallas Mavericks. It's an 8:30 p.m. tip-off. And the Mavs look to close out the Timberwolves in the Western Conference Final tonight. The Dallas Mavericks, they will play as the host. Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals at American Airlines Center. Dallas leads the series 3-0. No team, I say no team, has ever overcome a 3-0 deficit in NBA history. The Timberwolves are 0-3. They're shocked the NBA world by getting to this point, but it feels like the dream is about to come to an end. Minnesota has made history to get there, but they're going to have to be the first team in NBA history to overcome a 3-0 lead. Even if they win tonight, over 150 teams have been unsuccessful with trying to accomplish coming back from 3-0. Minnesota has shocked fans all season long. Their defense has been the thing that's gotten them attention. They knocked off the defending NBA champion, the Denver Nuggets, in 7 games. Dallas, think about Dallas. They shot 56% from the field and 50% from three-point range in a Game 3 defeat. They've had a great enough game to win, but something about the great Luka Doncic and the great Kyrie Irving, their Jedi Knights trained long ago in a galaxy far, far away by the great Obi-Wan Kenobi. The Mavericks 3-0 were disappointed in the first half of the season, but some mid-season trades changed everything for this team. They had one of the best records in the NBA after the trade deadline, thanks to the great Daniel Gafford and P.J. Washington. Those acquisitions have helped them get to the point of sitting just with 1 win shy of reaching the NBA Finals for the first time since the 2011 season, where they won with the great Dirk Nowitzki. No one picked the Mavs at the beginning of the playoffs, but it's silly to count out a team that has Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. Many people call the greatest 1-2 combination, maybe since Shaq and Kobe, are Michael Jordan and the great Scottie Pippen, or Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, all fair level. Or don't forget the great Kevin Durant and Steph Curry as well. But these two guys have played. They've scored over 50 points combined in all 3 games this series. And there aren't many backcourts in the NBA history that can say that as a dynamic. Those two are amazing. Batman and Robin. And just 5 more wins will allow them to create some history for Dallas. As they've been known to say in Texas, how about those Mavericks? Gotta be Cowboys, Big C. Okay, but you know the story. Well, that's my story. I'm taking with it. Congratulations, Boston Celtics, going back to the NBA Finals after knocking off the Indiana Pacers. All's fair and love and war. I want to say, as I always say on every Big C Sports podcast, thank you, Mr. Brooks, for coming on. And you have a great book called Strive to Finish First. I want to strive to finish first. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I want to always pay homage to my beautiful family legacy. On my beautiful mother's side, my great-grandparents called them Mama and Pop. My grandparents called them Muddy and Hezekiah. I could always depend on my mama, and the most beautiful mama in the history of the universe. Started a Head Start program, a food program, and also coached an all-star Major League Little League baseball team to the championship of the universe. I love my mama with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. The best person I ever met in my life. On my father's side, my grandparents, Albert Curry and Alberta Curry, they were pastors. They had 3 churches. They owned 2 gas stations in Oakland. I was 8 years old walking through my grandmother's hallway about 10 o'clock at night. I felt someone touch me on my forehead. She said, "What are you doing, young man, going to get some more cookies?" I said, "What are you doing? But Grandma, it's 10 o'clock at night. You normally go to bed at 8:30. She said, "What are you doing, young man, going to get some cookies?" I said, "But cookies are baby crap to what I'm doing, Grandma. I'm going to get my reparations." But some cookies wouldn't hurt. Love my grandparents with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful father, former United States Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic. Always making sure that planes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Always saying, develop your mind to its highest extent. Love my dad with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then I also want to say, my beautiful brother Todd, with that bombastic voice, sound like thunder and lightning when Todd would speak. Always saying, go forward. A voracious reader, the best, one of the best people I ever met in my life, Todd. Love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. My beautiful daughter, Daisy, the most beautiful daughter in the history of the universe. College graduate, 2 degrees with honors, and 3.5 years from a major university. Always trust God, Isaiah 54:17, no weapon formed against you will prosper. Daisy said at the very first interview for Big C Sports Podcast back at Salem Media, it became the first time in the history of the United States that NFL Monday Night Football started broadcasting live on the Wall Street Business Network. It had never happened before. Daisy, you could be anything you want to be. I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. And then my beautiful handsome son, Malcolm, the most handsome son in the history of the universe. College graduate, very smart, erudite, a good man. Malcolm always trusts God, Isaiah 54:17, that no weapon formed against him will prosper. I love you with all I have. Malcolm helped me save trees. I used to always get newspapers and look up stats for Big C Sports Podcast. One day Malcolm said, "Dad, why don't you just Google it?" And the light bulb went up. Now I'm on, been Googling ever since on 29 podcast platforms, streaming on 4 TV platforms. One day Malcolm said, Dad, you want to see Big C Sports on TV? I said, sure. He said, pick up the remote, aim it at the TV and say, play Big C Sports. You'll see your show come up. That's before it was even on the air. Now it's streaming on Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. Malcolm, I love you with all my heart, mind, body, and soul. You can be anything you want to be. And then Big C, with all that knowledge over the years, always saying you got to believe. You got to believe, you got to believe, saying let's get ready to rumble. I have no scripts. I have no 3-way teleprompters. I have no producer in my ear. ESPN nominated Big C Sports Podcast. I have a gland in the brain called the pineal gland. The ancients call it the third eye. And that's what I use to broadcast my show. They say it's how you talk to God. And I love talking to God, if that makes sense to you. With all my heart, mind, body, and soul, I really, really, really am grateful. I want to say that's my story. I'm sticking with it. If you're gonna drink, don't drive. If you're gonna drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. Nobody should ever have to let someone drink and drive. If you love them, the life you save may be your own. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As I always tell you, there's never ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever go through that crap. If you know anybody going through that garbage, pick up the phone and call 911. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that abuse. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. As I always want to finish out on every Big C Sports podcast show, I like saying back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He's known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. He would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, and you sting like a bee. Rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty. I can't possibly be beat. And every time I listen to Big C Sports, I want to champion reparations now, reparations forever. Then I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee. Well, as I always tell you, I have a goal, just like the NCAA settled, to pay for name, image, and likeness. I hope we can get reparations passed to pay homage to the California Assembly Reparations Task Force in the Senate. I want you to sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. Come on, President, you can do it by executive order. Sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. Do it like President Abraham Lincoln did it through executive order. Sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.